But in return, the East India Company collected the taxes. And that was the ingenious way. The East India Company would give license only to some merchants to sell their tea. They would charge extra so people didn't even know they were paying the tax, at least that's what they thought. And the crown gets their money. This is the way taxes are done all the time. You go to the gas station, you don't realize you're paying about 25% gas tax. They just add it on. They just increase the price, and you don't realize you're paying a tax. Some people might know, but they actually put a little sticker. If you ever go pump gas, there's a little sticker that tells you all the taxes. It's just a little sticker. So you're never quite sure. It's cable TV, phone, all these places. Government gives them all kinds of protections, like gas stations get protections too, and then they pay the tax. So this is not an old thing. This is to this day. Heck, when you get a job, my employer pulls out my taxes. When you get a job, they'll pull your taxes out. So they do it. Started that in World War II. Okay. Well, what happened to prices if you have a monopoly? If it's a product that people want, the price will go up, usually. But in the short run, it didn't happen this time. Because they undercut the smugglers, you have to pay for the risk. In the short run, even with the tax, the East India Company would charge less than the smugglers would. So you can imagine the smugglers are furious. How dare you undercut me? It doesn't mean that they're not going to raise the price down the road. But let's be clear about it. Monopolies can do that if it's a product that people want. If you have a monopoly on wooden shoes, you're probably not going to be able to raise price too much. But if it floods, everyone's going to come run for their wooden shoes. I have no idea why. Gah! I was fouled. So, with that, that is where we get protests. It wasn't about the tax. It was about this idea that they can give a monopoly. If they can give a monopoly of tea sales to one company, they can do it for every company. They will drive merchants out of business. They will tax them, and the power to tax is a power to destroy. I mean, think about it. What if they put a tax of 100% on a product? 100% tax on everything you sell. You will run out of money real fast. Yeah.
So they were the ones taxing tea?
The British government was.
But through like a company?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the East India Company collected the tax for the government, but in return, they got a monopoly.
Okay.
And the colonists, they look at it as, first, they take away your ability to make a living. They give monopolies to companies, they take away your ability to get a wage, produce something that people want, they take that away. Next, what will they take away? Your liberties. Take away your self-government. Take away your freedom. Make you nothing more than a slave. They've been doing this since 1763. If we don't stop them now, they'll take everything away. So the Tea Act is not just a cut and tax and lower tea. This is a stepping stone to our slavery. And that's where you get two groups we have to get to very quickly. This is what the Patriots said. Now the Patriots, in this context, were those who want independence, or at least more independence. A lot of Patriots weren't ready to go that full step, but they're getting there. They're also going to be called Whigs. The Whigs was a group in Parliament, mostly representing merchants, and Whig meant opposition party. When a political party in the United States was created in 1830 called the Democracy. The Democracy, soon to become the Democratic Party, would be challenged by a whole group of people. They just picked a name which meant opposition. They called themselves the Whigs. So, Patriots. Loyalists were ones that, yeah, they might have some disagreements with British policy, but they want to remain in the crown regardless. under the crown regardless. The group, they were called as Tories. Tories were members of Parliament, the old aristocracy, the landed gentry. They support the king. It's the Tories who wanted to tax. It's the Whigs who didn't. There were more patriots than loyalists. A lot more. But still, by 1776, there were more neutral people than both of these combined in the colonies. So it's still relatively a minority that actually wanted revolution. Yeah.
What were the loyalists again?
They want to stay under the crown regardless. Even if they didn't like the taxes, they're still loyal to the crown. And this is why I have to get to something, because the term patriot, and I'll say it again down the road, it's something that you have to get used to it. Patriot, and calling somebody a patriot is misused all the time. People use the wrong definition always. A patriot is somebody who loves their country for what it stands for. Its beliefs, its values, what makes that country great. So a patriot can be very upset at their country. A patriot could be upset at their government. A patriot could demand change. Every one of those people who wanted independence saw themselves originally as patriots to London, to England. But when their rights as Englishmen were taken away, they felt they had no choice. They had to make a moral stand. Every single one of the Confederates in the Civil War, every one who led their country, tried to destroy the United States and committed treason, believed they were patriots to the United States and had no choice. So they love their country for what it stands for. But most people say patriots are somebody who loves their country because it's their country. Literally blind loyalty. What is that? That's nationalism, yes. When people say they're a patriot, usually what they really mean is they're a nationalist. And that says, I love my country because it's my country. And you better not go against my country. Patriot is like, I love my country because we stand for this, but my country can do wrong things, and I'm upset about it because I believe the country should stand for this. Which one's more dangerous? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. World War I, World War II, these nationalistic wars will kill millions. Nationalism is a pretty scary thing. It's not all bad. It's good. But sometimes it can be just, I don't care, nobody can disagree with what I believe in, which is nationalism. So, the patriots. So, patriotism means this, but remember, in the context of this, the patriots were the ones who were agitating for more rights, eventually independence. And what happened was the Tea Party. The Tea Party. November 1773. Winter. There were a couple ships from the East India Company brought in their chest of tea. They didn't transport tea in leaves. They made them into big bricks, hard bricks, so they could transport more. They would like take a hammer and crumble it, and that's how they would make tea back then. No, they didn't have tea bags. Well, they're sitting out there because they don't want the mob to get them. They're scared to unload their cargo because people are really mad. At North Hall, there was a meeting. North Hall is a big town hall meeting. If you get a chance, has anyone been to Boston? One, that's two. It's a really cool town. And North Hall is just a great place to go. This big hall. It looks kind of like a church, but it's like a secular church for this idea of representation of all people. They had a big meeting where speakers came in and talked about the Tea Act, and Sam Adams gave a fiery speech, and at the right moment, the doors open, and 50 men come rushing in, dressed as what? Yeah, Mohawk Indians. Why? They, everyone knew who they were. And the other thing was this. Mohawks lived here. They're here. That's a long ways from Boston. So they knew no one is going to doubt who did it. It's a symbol. Colonists and then the young United States had a very I can't even talk now. Had contradictions, about American Indians. Yeah, they wanted their land. They wanted to take what they had. But at the same time, and this one we have to get, American Indians represented liberty. They had never seen people so free in their lives. Here they are, open. They don't have the same classes. They're not born in a class that can never move up or down, as they saw it. It's a little more complex than that. Indians represented liberty. What a weird contradiction, huh? Liberty, freedom, something we idolize. Can we take your land now? Eventually, one of those things will leave. Which one? Yeah, the liberty thing is going to be we want your land. I'll get to that. It's called take it, you know. So, they rushed to the harbor, which then, now it's about a mile to the harbor. Back then it was about 200 yards. They rushed to the harbor, went on the pier. All these people are cheering them on. They jump into whale boats, which are like big rowboats. They row out to the first ship. Now, 1773, what powered these ships? Nuclear. Yeah, it's all nuclear powered. When the sails are down, the riggings are down, it takes a couple hours. So they can't do anything. And so they get there, they start climbing on board the ship, the crewmen start to fight back, they're overwhelmed. Then, of course, they beat the tar out of the crew, throw them overboard, which, by the way, is a bad deal for them because nobody knew how to swim back then. Swimming's a 19th century invention. And then, yeah, really, doesn't that seem weird? All they do is just kind of flop and then sink. And then they threw the tea overboard, then set fire to the ship. Now, the crew of the other ship, they're watching this. So what happens when the Mohawks get to their ship? They help them up. Come here. This is where we keep the tea. Do you need help throwing it overboard? So they weren't beat up. Well, when you look at this, what a blatant attack. I mean, this was not a riot, a protest, just something just kind of occurred. This was planned. This was what we call, it's a criminal act, a conspiracy. And the British are looking at this as a conspiracy to commit, and not just throw property overboard, they're committing what? Treason. They're traitors, and we got to punish them. So, it took about 6 weeks for this to get back to London. They freak out, and Parliament passes, the Tories in Parliament, the Coercive Acts. Now, coercive by its very word, this means punish. And they're going to make an example of Massachusetts and Boston. They're basically telling Philadelphia, if you do what Boston did, this is what's going to happen to you. Now, of course, this is going to backfire completely. But that's what they did. The laws. Let me do this really quick. Boston Harbor, close. The Massachusetts State Assembly and Constitution, abolished. The hated Quartering Act was brought in, meaning troops would now live right amongst you. And lastly, and this is the one that really got him, remember John Adams and the Boston Massacre. British officials, whether they be soldiers or royal tax collectors, British officials, if they commit a crime, where will the trial be? Yeah, it'll be in London, so it'll be in Britain. There are a couple other parts, but this is what we have to get. The reason I gave you these is think about it for a second. Boston Harbor closed down. How do we make a living? How will we survive? How will we trade goods? All economic activity in Boston will shut down. We'll starve to death. Who said that would happen? Who said the British would do this? Said
Patrick something.
Well, not even a person.
Who, the Patriots?
The Patriots were all saying this. The Patriots said they would do this, and they did it. You'll no longer be free. No longer have liberties. You'll be basically a slave. There goes our government. Who said that would happen? The patriots. All your freedoms taken away, and truths will be living with you again. We all know what that was, the Quartering Act. And think about this. What would you think would happen if a British official, crime, you think of any crime, theft, and they're sent back to London for trial? What would you think is going to happen to that soldier? Nothing. They would be out scot-free. And so basically, that's a license for British officials to loot and steal and do whatever they want, isn't it? It's like, at least that's what the colonists thought. Now you can see the British point of view; they wouldn't get a fair trial, but that's why they did it. And the patriots said all of it. I told you so. I told you so. They're coming for you. And the other cities, more and more, are thinking, ooh, we maybe should look at this patriotic cause because we don't want this to happen to us. Who was happy about this? What kind of people were happy this happened?
Loyalists.
Now, loyalists are going to suffer for the same thing. If they live in Boston, they're going to have the same issues. They might have been a little bit happy that they cracked down on the patriots, but they got to suffer them the same laws. Who's happy? Who's overjoyed? Someone said it. The patriots. This is exactly what the patriots wanted. They didn't go dump tea overboard and beat up a crew because they thought it would be fun or it would end taxes. They wanted the British to crack down. They wanted the British to pass a series of laws that would restrict their rights. Because that would get people who are neutral to become what? More patriots. If the British would have pulled back, there would have been a better chance that there would have been no rebellion. The patriots wanted this. And this is always a problem. We see an act that's somewhat like, well, what would we call it in the 19th century through today? Terrorism. That's what it is. It's terrorism. There's a reason they do it. They want a reaction. I'm not defending them, right or wrong. And isn't it great? One person's freedom fighter can be another one's terrorist. Isn't that great how that works? It really depends on what side you're on. September 11th, 2001, this little tiny group called Al-Qaeda that fought in the Afghani war back in the 80s. Yes, the CIA helped them. That won't come back to haunt us. Don't worry about it. But they attacked on September 11th. Very high-profile attack. Wasn't surprised. They're actually kind of worried about them using planes as weapons. Why'd they do it? To get a reaction. And what do they want the U.S. to do? Yeah, go to war in the Mideast, start bombing and killing and invading. That's what they wanted. They wanted that. And what did we do? We did it. And we're still doing it. Now, don't get me wrong. I would argue those goals are psychopathic. But that's what they wanted, and we did it for them. In fact, we attacked a country that had nothing at all to do with the attack. And basically, it's destroyed that country. What am I talking about? Iraq. Had nothing to do with September 11th. Always be wary of stuff like that. You ever do that? You bug your older brother or younger sibling, hoping to get a reaction so you get him in trouble? Has anyone ever done that? Haven't you? Yeah, okay. Not me, I never did that.
No.
Right?
Uh-huh.
Also, the Quebec Act was passed. That actually is a really important lesson. Sometimes you might do exactly what they want. The Quebec Act.
What year was the Quebec?
1774 too. It was actually had nothing to do with the coercive acts, but patriots immediately said it was part of it. Now, it was just, to the British point of view, it was a very logical thing to do. What about all those French Canadians? We don't want two rebellions, one rebellion at a time. So to keep the French from rebelling in Quebec, they allowed them to speak French and remain Catholic. A very logical bill. Very logical. That's why we have bilingual Canadians. Well, Canada is bilingual because of that. But then he did something else. Quebec has a royal governor, so the governor of Quebec now, even though the governor of Quebec is British, even though most of the colonists are still French Canadians. Well, they decided to put the administration of the Northwest. The Northwest are the Great Lakes. I know it doesn't seem like Northwest to us today, but it was Northwest then. See this area in green right here? They decided it would be better to administer that from Quebec. You think that might be a long ways away, but the mountains. The mountains really made it hard for places like, or to administer this from Philadelphia. It's a logical move. You see, there's a logic to it. But what did the Patriots say? They just gave your land to whom? Who? The French.
Wait, so who gave the land to the French?
Well, nobody actually gave the land to the French. But what it was is Quebec had a royal governor from Britain. And they just allowed that royal governor to administer lands around the Great Lakes. Just be the kind of the royal governor for around the Great Lakes region. Because it's easier to get to from Canada. But the colonists said, Patriots said, we're going to give it to the French. What's next for us? They're going to give us to the French too. And not only that, they're going to make us all become what? Catholics. And as we all know, you cannot trust Catholics. Because Catholics obey one person. Who? The Pope. The Pope says a word and all Catholics follow like robots. Now, are there any Catholics in here? You have it like here on your cell phone, right? So the Pope texts you, and you just do what the Pope says, right? Just Pope talk, all right. No, that's what they said then. They're a bunch of papists. As we all, anybody else who's a Catholic, you know that that's completely true, right? No, of course it's not true. It's absolutely ridiculous. But think how far things have gotten to where people believe that in the colonies. That they're going to give the colonies to the French. That's so ridiculous. I didn't know how to put a word to it. People had become demented. And so with that, we get the First Continental Congress. That's Continental Congress. I don't know why I wrote it. Now you see this Continental? They're talking about the American continent. Just that for continentals. They're on the American continent. Don't read too much into it. That's just what they call it. Well, they met in Philadelphia. Philadelphia is it's a nice town. It's the center of science, but it's also the biggest city that was close to the South. There's no big cities in the South. And they met at Independence Hall. Actually, it was not yet called Independence Hall. It was a brand new colonial capital for Pennsylvania. It would become Independence Hall because it would be in this building that not only was the Declaration, well, not only did the United States declare independence, the Declaration of Independence, the document, would be agreed to, and the Constitution was written down. It's kind of an important building. Has anyone been there? You've been everywhere.
I was born in D.C., so I go back to the same thing a lot.
So you went up there, and actually it's pretty easy to get around there.
I've been all up and down that road.
Philadelphia is really cool.
Yeah.
Independence Hall. So you've been there. How old were you last time?
Well, I actually just went there a couple of years ago.
Oh, so you still
I saw
remember it?
the bell and stuff.
Which has nothing to do with independence, but the Liberty Bell is so cool.
Yeah.
I'll leave you a line up to go and have nothing at all to do with the
It was a
Declaration.
horrible line, and it was not worth it.
Yeah, I know. Did you get a picture taken in front of the bell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a bunch of people sitting in the back of it and stuff.
Yeah, I have the same picture. Everyone's like saying with this bell that literally has nothing to do with independence, but it's called the Liberty Bell. And so all those idiots go line up and look at it. Hey, if you're there, you gotta do it. If you're there, you gotta drop your pin first because they do not allow dry eraser pins in there. Independence Hall is really cool. But it's amazing, you think about, the Constitution, Declaration of Independence, these amazing things. The room's tiny, it's smaller than this classroom where they did it. It's kind of weird in a way. Yeah.
So who was like a part of the company?
What they were mostly patriots, some loyalists and neutrals. State assemblies sent a lot of them, and then some people just went from 12 of the 13 colonies.
Okay. What was the question?
Who were the people who went there?
Oh.
A lot were patriots, but not all. There were loyalists there. And when they went there, they're dealing with all the things from 1763 on. But the biggies are, of course, those intolerable acts, as they called them in that Quebec Act. And so basically what they did is, first off, they did a declaration of rights and and grievances. A declaration of rights and grievances. So what they did is they laid out step by step how our rights as Englishmen had been infringed, and the grievances were how they did it. The Declaration of Independence would follow that exact same model. Rights, and here's how, these are our rights, this is how they're infringed. But they blame Parliament here. Who did the Declaration of Independence blame? The King. Because you think about it for a second, it's hard to get mad at Parliament. I hate Parliament! All 500 members. But you can get mad at a tyrant. That's why they use the King. Then, they voted for what we call the Suffolk Resolves. Well, actually, they called it. I didn't have to call it that. I wasn't around yet. This colonial assembly from Massachusetts met in this little tiny town called Suffolk, which actually is a really cool town. I had very good fish and chips there. Who likes fish and chips? Isis and Craig. That's walleye fish and chips. It's chewed up. The only old ones are always. You guys lied. You don't want to cook, so I'd make you pay for it. It was really good. It's one of those, I'll try it. Oh my goodness, it's good. Of course, anything deep fat fried, I'm human. I probably like it. Well, because we crave fat. All of us. Well, Suffolk Resolves. And what they did, there's a number of things, but the two we care about are this. They said another one of those boycotts and the militia. We're going to begin to organize the militia again, but this time they're going to go from being little drinking clubs, which they were in the interior, and then actually start training. In fact, some of the younger men in Massachusetts would begin to be trained to be prepared to come at a moment's notice. What would they be called? That's where you get the Minutemen. They're going to be pretty much made into this myth. And they also said, all right then, let's go home. We'll meet again in May 1775. Sound good? See ya. Something's going to happen between when they went home and when they met again. What? Say it again.
The Battle of Lexington and Concord.
April 19th, 1775, Lexington and Concord. Yeah. This is Patriots' Day, by the way. I don't know why we don't celebrate it here. You know, this is like a huge holiday. A marathon run and all that kind of stuff there. What's May 20th, the anniversary of? Hitler's birthday.
That's April 20th.
Hitler.
It's April 20th.
You said May.
Did I say what?
You said May.
I said May 20th?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. April 20th is Hitler's birthday. I'm sorry. Okay, so I did not even realize I said that. Yes.
The Declaration of Grievances, who was that against?
Britain. But it was they did it against Parliament. But it's really hard to get mad at a body of 500 people. It's much easier to pick a tyrant. You ever notice when there's a war, we find an enemy? You know, we find somebody to be mad at. The Kaiser in World War II, or such as that. Jefferson Davis, Hitler, Saddam Hussein. Well, Lexington and Concord. So we know the basis of what happened. Who wrote out and warned the Minutemen? Paul Revere. What did he yell as he rode? Yeah, redcoats or lobsters, because they're British. So we'd be coming down. Here we come, we're coming. They would say the British are coming, the regulars are coming, something like that. That's what they would yell. Regular means not militia, regular soldiers. And Lexington Green, that's where they had the first battle, and that's the last part we saw the video, correct? They had that battle. Well, there's something you should know. When Paul Revere wrote, and then William Dawes and a couple others, warning the militia thought they were literally on their way to set fire to their homes. And they rushed to Lexington, the Commons, the big field. 4.5 hours before the British arrived. He's like, ah! They got there, no British. About a quarter went home. What the other ones do?
Drink.
Yeah, went to a tavern. And that is where we get the fun of the morning. Somebody opens fire. You know, the angry British see this motley crew. They open fire. So we don't even know who started it. But the militia ran, and the British moved on without cooking breakfast. They're hungry. They go on to Concord, where the weapons were. At Concord, they're actually met by militia. Gage divides his forces and tries to cross this bridge called South Bridge. And it's a pretty narrow bridge, so it kind of means a bottleneck. The colonists fought it out there, and Gage realizes it's not worth it and pulls back. Not really a victory for the Patriots, but certainly humiliation for the British. And then they marched 20 miles back when it's starting to get dark back to Boston. By this time, over 5,000 militiamen had come out, and they're lining the road. Now this really rugged, there's low mountains, there's rocks, trees, and they're hiding, taking pot shots at the British all the way back. The British would fix bayonets and try to charge off into the woods, and what would happen? They'd just run away. Fortunately, most of the militia had never fired a weapon before, and the weapons were inaccurate anyways. Less than 1% actually hit anything, including the ground. I think, bang, that's darn it. That's how inaccurate these things were. Over 20 British soldiers were killed, though. And what we have then is war. Hard to go back now, isn't it? I mean, let's go have a group hug. No, it's not going to happen. And over 10,000 militiamen come out from their farms, their villages, and surround Boston. And we have the Siege of Boston. By the way, what's going on? Well, the siege is just beginning. There's no real command. There's no one commander of the militia. Who's arriving in Philadelphia at the exact same time this is going on? That Second Continental Congress. They just happen to be getting there at war. The Loyalists, or people who are kind of neutral, I want nothing to do with this treason, and they don't come. So they're pretty radical. But we got to fight a very quick battle before the bell rings. Does anybody know what battle we're going to do during the Siege of Boston? Battle of Bunker Hill. June of 1775, which of course took place on Breed's Hill. Okay, so, Bunker Hill. I'm going to draw you a picture of Boston. I'm going to draw you a map. It's only been a couple. Boston, if you haven't been there, you'll feel like you've been there. Like I've implanted memories into your skull. You ready? Don't be jealous of my cartography skills. Okay, that's Boston Harbor. Correct?
Yeah.
There are high hills around it. That's where the militia were. Where's my blue pen? I have a bad habit of just carrying stuff over here and not leaving them up there. All my pens are on my desk. Look at this. Okay, this is water. Here's Boston. This is Charlestown Peninsula. How do we know this is water? Right? Here's a ship. Sail. That's a Latin sail. Shark. Walrus. So, that's Boston Harbor. What they decided to do is, this is the Charlestown Peninsula, and it goes up, pretty steep. And there's a couple like kind of rippling hills. And the colonists decided, let's build a fort here and win a big victory. We win a big victory, the British will go home. Everybody believes in war. That if you just win that one big victory, what's going to happen? You win the war and your enemy will go home. They believe that in every war. Every war. And how often does it happen? Never! Ever! So it happened this time. So, there's a hill, kind of a mound here called Bunker Hill. But when they got here, they realized that there's another kind of bump in the way. And so they moved down to the next hill called Breed's Hill and built a fort. Basically just an entrenchment. So the Battle of Bunker Hill happened on Breed's Hill. But everybody calls it Bunker Hill. The big monument that's there, on Breed's Hill. They have an obelisk. You know what an obelisk is? They were kind of the rage at the beginning of the 19th century, copied off Egyptians. They have a cool little obelisk. All of you know what an obelisk is. Don't you? What is it?
I don't know. I just thought it's like a pillar. Yes.
The biggest obelisk in the world would copy the Bunker Hill obelisk. The Washington Monument. That's an obelisk. It's really cool if you get a chance. It's really neat to go up there, even if you're claustrophobic, it's not cool. You're like, all right, finish this tomorrow.
What was the just make like surround?
Yeah, they're surrounded, and the British weren't strong enough to push them out, but the colonists didn't have cannon, they couldn't push the British out. This was a wild time. This is a really cool time. That's active. That's how I did that. Why are you going to be gone? Where are you going again? Glacier. I knew it's. I couldn't remember it's Kalispell or Glacier. I am. I will film the class, but I didn't quite get the declaration. So literally, right from Bunker Hill, we go to that. And that's a big. Sorry, I didn't get through it. I get it. I knew you were going to be gone.
I'm going to be gone tomorrow.
Where are you going to be?
Crossing.
Where are you guys going?
Great Falls.
Oh, okay. Same deal. I'm going to film it with this declaration. I didn't quite get it.
Okay.
It's really good.
So where do I?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
And I'm not going to give a quiz. I was thinking about it, but I kind of got behind. So for time reasons, I'm not going to give a quiz.
Where do I find it? Like on YouTube?
Go to the Capital site and go to its teacher page. And
All right, I'll find it.
Yeah, and we have that, and the book is in the Declaration of Independence is in the appendix of your textbook, and I'll also have a copy on there.
Okay.
Thank you for mocking me, Mr. Furley. I'll let you in my room. Yeah.
The quiz I was supposed to do, I forgot about it today. Can I come in tomorrow during lunch?
Yeah, just come in and take 5 minutes.
He's not. None of you guys are Kip.
No, but I know.
We don't talk to him.
He's coming. He's got this for his dad's. Got his dual enrollment form up there. He needs Kip's signature. So if you don't mind, if I can, it'll just be 2 seconds. He comes from Finley. So
Normally, Kip walks in right now,
Yeah.
and Kip, go to your stocks first. We put Kip in the stocks.
okay. You do that in the front office. He's got your dual enrollment form.
Okay.
Then it says student signature. You have
Who's our relatively artistic?
I was talking at my phone today.
For you?
Oh, wow. Yeah, take it up.
Well, you have an artistic job. You're very good on this. I wasn't even thinking.
Well, just go
No,
out.
it's not that big of a deal.
I
We need
just
done
more.
We need it done.
Just go out more.
Yeah.
Wipe it up. Okay. Well,
They're not like this big. Okay. Yeah. And we can decorate it, we gotta get it done, Scott, because, and we know why. So the administrator comes in, I will put someone in the corner with a dunce cap.
Put 2 ends in.
It ain't gonna be me. I don't wear no dunce cap.
I'm making
I talk wear that.
I was gonna say, you never figured out how to put it on.
Hey, we need to tell you, you want some Redskins? God, aren't they a wonderful
Dunn's cap. No, I'm gonna do Dunn's cap. D-U-N-N. Apostrophes.
What do you mean?
Dunn's cap. You're gonna have to wear it. I'll do it. I'll do it. I want to show him like my political ideologies
Oh, I see.
and red dogs. Have you seen that video? I also do. And I went to we're doing like poster bombing and we're gonna be able to take like a poster bombing. I'm in like post followers. I'm doing identified political figures. I got it.
Okay, sounds good.
I got it. That's fine. My sheet.
I know.
For the movie, I got it signed.
Why do I have to send it to you?
Clark.
My
My mom almost lost it though because it's the size of like, yeah, serious. Like I need an actual size piece of paper if I'm gonna remember. And I should probably write my name on it. In the tiny spot. It wasn't horrible, but the second page was so hard. The first page was easy, and I was like, Scott just like maybe was like,
I don't like not being more.
what? That sucks. We couldn't use it on the first part. We had to put it on the second part. It's already in the grade book? Oh my goodness.
Really?
God, I hope it's not.
Oh, I have the second.
I have it third grade. He probably gave up after your guys' stuff, honestly, because he's so lazy.
Probably saw my 97.
I was just there. So we went and saw counselors. Why 3.976 because he raised my course to A. Literally an 89. No teachers do that except for the special few because I had an 89 in, not for the semester though, for a quarter in Spanish. And then she was like, I was like, I'll do anything. Like, I will do it. Yes. I was like, I will do anything. And she's like, just do better next time. And I was like,
Oh my god.
I got it up to a 94 for the semester, but I wanted to kill her.
It doesn't help that you won't actually teach us.
What? Wood, we did nothing.
What?
What would make like pro?
Okay, I have to pee so bad. I'm Wyatt, come in here, please, so I just gonna run by you. That's so frustrating though that he wouldn't do that for you. Yeah, I know. Didn't Partridge pull up Annalise's? Annalise had like an 88 and he brought it up to a 94.
It marks this 89. I don't know about
Like 89 today.
No, and then literally
99.
you do not know how many times Yeah. I literally cried. I don't understand. Like towards the end of the year, it was like at least twice a week. I remember you came to last year, the math final, and you were just tearing up. I was like, I'm so sad. I'm gonna bring my phone with me. It's okay. I gotta be in Pilgrim, so I'm not gonna be able to I'm done.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not like this stuff. It's not sophomore year.
Hey, how are we doing today? I can't even begin to tell you how wonderful it is to see. I'm sorry, I've decided I'm not going to let you watch it.
Amy, you
Don't give me
folded it
that.
up in a little tiny.
Dump's cat.
Yeah, can I, my two, also I have another question, can I answer the rest of it really quickly?
Wait a minute, how do we get M and a B? I mean, that's math.
Really? Yeah, Mr. Partridge,
I'm not buying that.
can I go to the bathroom?
I don't think you have that skill set. At age 20, you're just going to explode. Go! Anybody else? Anybody else? Who has not turned this in? Yeah, that's why I came over here. There's a hole.
True.
Please get it. Please get it in, so I don't have to worry about it. It is a very good movie. It is. That's just not the violence or anything else. I mean, it's a psychological roller coaster. It's well done.
Well,
You have one.
We have so many puns going on over here.
What?
Right,
Like
like
Instagram
Instagram
pages.
pages. Yeah, well.
Every time anything has.
You know that's the great thing about puns. You
it's
don't have
clever.
they write themselves.
It's just so easy.
Done. I took me a second. There wasn't. Rep.
Can I get one of those?
Hip.
You know, what have I done?
Just use Dexter to something.
What have I
Alright,
done?
buddy.
What have I done?
This is gonna be all you. It's gonna happen. My parents signed it so much that I just lost.
Yeah.
Would you consider?
Look, someone broke my chair.
I'm done with
I'm
this
done with
class.
this.
I'm done in this class.
I'm done. It's done.
So if we get a dunce cap, Riley, if we get a dunce cap, the plan is this. If an administrator comes back, I'm gonna pick a random student, any one of you guys, and I'm just say, oh, I can't believe you say that. And you're all gonna start going, dunce, dunce, dunce. We'll put the cap on and we'll go put him in the corner.
Oh my god.
The only problem with that is, you know, all you guys will start busting out
And
laughing.
stop.
Yeah.
Not on the stop, because that would be kind of cruel, but, and then whoever
It's
does,
me every
not
time.
drop a volunteer, we'll already predetermine who I'll pick on. And then go in the corner, and you just kind of stand there. That's just what it is.
That's
Of
horrible.
course, if it's Mr. Chauncey, he would just laugh and go, no, he would know I'm up to something.
He'd be so confused.
You know, Mr. Dantos has a great sense of humor, but being a principal is kind of you gotta kind of be serious. And I don't know, that'd be really funny. Okay.
I'm just imagining this.
I was going to show you a little film clip 'cause I thought it was pretty funny when they little talk about this last week and a few things. It was done by she was on the Daily Show. Her name was Samantha Bee. Now she has a show on TBS, I think.
Yeah, full front.
And the show is on, and she swears, but they beep it out. And so I got it online. I saw it was a really clever bit. It'd be kind of a funny thing to begin. And so I started watching it and study out. You know, I just had it on study. I was just going to watch it. They don't beep them out. And I was like, sorry about that. So we're not going to watch that. If I can find the beeped out version, I'll show it to you tomorrow.
Oh.
Not have to send a note home for watching a 5-minute clip.
Yeah, the kids.
That would actually be really funny. Wouldn't it? And so we'll get the platoon. How are the interviews? A week from now.
What do they do?
So do we have to write like a paper, or are we just filling out that sheet?
Well, I want you to have to spend a separate sheet because we're in the room. But I want you to write down for each question. You'll
So I've done my interview.
so rewrite. So write it like a paper, but like longer answers. Give me a couple paragraphs. Summarize what they say. The shorter one, just a few sentences. Because one, they might just have one word,
Yeah.
and they might not apply. And then I know what happened with a lot of you. You do the interview, and that's all that thing is kind of a template. And if you start going off on tangents, that is great. Please let me know where you go on those. Sometimes you might not. And also, since now we've seen the fog of war, you understand why those questions. And actually, they're pretty good questions. And you can read. You read the person you interviewed. Who'd you interview?
I interviewed Richard Van Nice. He's the guy who owns that little bookshop over by like Bowman's and the Real Food Store.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I hang out with him a lot. We're kind of bros. I just go in there and read, and then I made him answer all the questions.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
That is a pretty cool story. The only problem is he doesn't really organize them.
Oh no, it's a total mess. I love it.
And so I go in there. I like certain types of books, and I went to find kind of books, and it was just like I might have some of this, and he just points to this stack of books. I'm like,
Somewhere.
eh.
It's the fun of it. It's an adventure in there.
It is pretty cool. Has anyone else been in that place?
It's this like bookshop run by this old guy. He was in Vietnam, and he's
He's a really interesting guy.
kind of by the
Who'd you interview?
baseball fields, like right in that kind of area where there's little houses right on the side of it. Yeah, and he just has this house, and it's filled with all these.
Get him while he's
called
on
Van Nuys,
The painkiller should be a fun interview.
and it's super cool.
He needs your
He's, like,
replacement?
so many books there. He's just like the
How old
coolest
is
person.
Is it a library or is it school?
Oh, he is.
But they're all super cheap.
You're
And I
practically
always just
better.
give my books there, so I just have like hundreds of dollars in credits. I haven't had to pay for it in so long.
I'm gonna have to get one in like the next 5 years. So I'm planning that. All right, everybody. So I have good news. Tomorrow will be weapons. Let's finish up a couple things, and then weapons. By the way, isn't it amazing? It's like 90 degrees outside.
That's a lot.
It isn't too cold in here, that's what's surprising.
Yeah. My hand
Good.
Well, part of the problem is there's something wrong with the heater, and Mr. Larson's room is literally an oven. And they had to turn the heat off in there. It was, you know, like my room a lot of times, especially first period, would be like going to a wall of cold.
Yep.
Or every period.
His room, and I think some of it's coming up through, and it gets into the false ceiling.